We are so glad to have Ruthie Wade with us this morning. For all of you listeners out there, Ruthie recently graduated from Brookstone last year and is back working with us this summer. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And Ruthie, this time last year, you and I were getting ready to be co-leaders, co-counselors with some of our favorite middle school friends. We have been through a lot together. And Ruthie and I go way back, and I've known her mom and dad for even longer, and her sweet grandparents. So just love you and your family. So I'm so glad you're here today to talk to us.
I'm glad to be here too.
Yes. Okay. Well, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and how long you were a student and all that stuff here.
Yeah. So like Avery said, my name's Ruthie. I attended Brookstone for 14 years. So I started in pre-K. I have a little sister, Martha, who just finished her freshman year here at Brookstone.
I cannot believe that.
My dad, Travis, also was a lifer at Brookstone, and he and my mom, Mitchie, are involved in many different ways on different boards across campus. And I just finished my freshman year at Georgia Tech.
Woo! I cannot believe so many things in that statement. One, that you have finished your freshman year, and that Martha has finished her freshman year.
I know.
It just seems impossible.
Yes.
So, okay, and I mentioned you're working with us this summer. So you were here as an intern,
right?
Working with the administrative staff here this summer, and we're so glad you're here.
I know.
It's
I'm glad
been
to be
so
here
much fun.
too. I know.
So, okay, so talking about your years here at Brookstone, tell us what are some of your favorite. What did you love about being a Brookstone student?
Well, there's so many things I loved about being at Brookstone, but if I had to really narrow it down and highlight one main thing, it would have to be the teachers.
Yeah.
First off, they are incredible at teaching their subjects, whether it's math or French or English. They're just all incredible at what they do. But even more than that, they want to have that kind of personal relationship with you. Mm-hmm. You see them watching you and cheering you on at your sports games and your musicals and any other extracurricular activities that you have. But one specific memory I have that kind of highlights this is during junior year with the COVID restrictions, we weren't all allowed to eat in the cafeteria. Right. So my friend group and we would go eat in Hope Boswell's room every single day during lunch. You know, she easily could have said, like, no, this is my lunch break. We're not doing this. But I feel like that's one thing that makes Brookstone unique is that she wants to have lunch with us during her lunch break, even if we literally just had her the class before lunch. So
that's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had forgotten all about that we couldn't all eat in the cafeteria and all that stuff. Like, oh my gosh, that was a really unique time that you were here.
Right, it really was, yes.
Okay, so as a high school student, what were some of your favorite classes?
If I had to choose my all-time favorite class, it would have to be neuroanatomy with Dr. Epperson. Mm-hmm. I was never really a huge science class kid in high school. It just wasn't really my strong suit, but neuro was a class that I loved. It was a unique topic that I learned about that I'd never really heard anything about in my other science classes, but also Dr. Epperson and I had a great teacher-student relationship, which just made it even more special.
Yes.
Another set of classes I loved were AP Macro, Econ, and Micro Econ with Mr. Lage. I took AP Macro my junior year and AP Micro my senior year, and both of those helped make me my decision to major in econ at Georgia Tech.
Oh, there you go. So you're an econ major.
Yes,
okay. I was going to ask you that question, but okay. Well, that's so fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Well, and Dr. Epperson, I also had him as a teacher.
Yes, and my dad did too.
Yes, and took neuroanatomy.
Yes.
And it really was a fascinating class.
It really is. You just learn so many different things about yourself because you, like, it all applies directly to you.
I know. Which
is so interesting.
And it's just one of the unique electives that we offer here.
Exactly.
For sure. Okay, so what are some of your favorite Brookstone traditions?
Okay, Brookstone traditions. I think my favorite ones have to all kind of revolve around your senior year. Mm-hmm. Of course, like the homecoming pep rally when all the seniors run through and the senior bike ride one morning are hard to beat. You know, everyone lines up and watches you. You finally, you've been watching it for so long. Even if you're like me and you've been there since pre-K, you've watched it like 13 times by now. But even if you've come in high school, you've seen it and you get so excited about it and then you finally get to do it.
Right.
But I think my favorite tradition is probably the yearbook assembly.
Yes.
Just like as a little kid, I always loved going into the gym and sitting there and watching each senior stand up and go and get their yearbook. So it's really special after 13 years of that in your final year at Brookstone when you get to receive your own yearbook.
Yes. So. That is really fun. And it's just been a year since you were that senior standing up.
Right.
And did you enjoy the alumni walk after that?
Yes. Yeah, that is fun too, especially since I babysit a lot of kids that go to Brookstone. So, you know, when you get to walk past the lower school section or the intermediate school section and they like give you signs and they want hugs and high fives, it's really sweet.
It is. It's just the sweetest.
Yes.
Okay, so you've now completed your first year of college. Georgia Tech. Now, well, let's back up. So, how hard or how difficult was it for you choosing a college?
It kind of went in waves. For most of middle and high school, I was set on Georgia Tech. I just thought that was where I was going to go, and like that was a done deal. But then going into my junior year, you kind of, when it actually hits you and you have to start applying and deciding and touring, kind of hits you. It's like, oh, do I really want to go here? Do I really want to go here?
Right.
So then I would say like junior year through the first half of senior year, I was really torn. I'd been accepted into a lot of great schools that all had many different things to offer. But then at the end of the day, just being in state and all of the amenities that has to offer and the culture at Georgia Tech, it was just the place for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Did you enjoy working with Miss Berry through the application process?
I know her and Miss Epperson were probably so tired of me because I was in their offices all the time. Oh, does this look okay? Does this look okay?
Right,
what do you think about this?
Right.
So, yeah, she's a great resource to have. And Mr. Mack, too, even though I didn't work directly with him.
Yes. Well, and tell us what Mrs. Epperson did. Now, she's not doing that this year, but what her role was.
Right. So Miss Epperson helped me out a lot with my Common App essay and my supplemental essay. So every senior will meet with her at least once or twice to think about topics and ideas for their Common App essay, and then a follow-up usually to read a rough draft, what they've written. Right. But then she's available to you for as long as she's there. So I met with her probably like 7 or 8 times to read over all my supplemental essays and double-check things. So she's just
so
a great
helpful.
Resource. Yes.
She really is. And I love both of the Eppersons.
Yes.
But she was my English teacher too in high school. And so the fact that she's still, and she's just an expert. And so that she helps everybody with their essays.
Well, and it's a great resource because if you just needed final checks, grammar, spelling, she can do that. But at some points I was just drawing a blank. I had no clue what to write about. And she helps you, she talks you through it, but she makes sure that they're your ideas and as you're writing. She's not going to write it for you.
Of course.
Right. But she's there to guide you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So now that you have spent this year at Georgia Tech, how did Brookstone prepare you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different world, high school to college, but speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because you get to college and like for me, I didn't go, there's 5 of us from Brookstone that went to Georgia Tech. So you meet all these people just coming from different backgrounds of high school and you can really tell a difference in like the kind of high school path that they had before college. I think Brookstone specifically, the rigorous coursework and teachers who expected excellence from you really prepared me for the hard classes at Georgia Tech. They weren't just throwing easy balls to you.
Right.
Like they were giving you challenging coursework. They were going to help you, but they wanted to see you excel in challenging things. Right. But alongside that, having relationships with my teachers at Brookstone, like that was the expectation that you knew your teachers and had a working relationship with them. It easily led me to make relationships with my professors in college. Because in college, it depends where you go, obviously, but that's not always granted to you. They're not always reaching out to you. It's kind of up to you to initiate that. But coming from a school like Brookstone where you're used to that, it's not quite as scary, honestly, to do that. But awesome. Really, I think the main thing that Brookstone prepared me for in college is since Brookstone encourages you to get involved in so many ways, to take AP classes, to play sports, to be in the musical. They encourage you to get involved in so many different ways that it prepares you going to college to have that work, school, life balance. You can be in whatever club or sports team you want and know how to do your hard classes because you're used to already balancing that from Brookstone.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's awesome because it is a lot. And some kids go off and it's just more than they know how to navigate. So I really do think we do a good job of that here, but I'm glad to hear you say that too. Okay. So looking back, what advice would you give to the class of 2024? So our rising seniors. So people who are going to be seniors next year.
Yeah.
What is something you would say to them?
I think I would tell them to just really take in and soak in all of the events that Brookstone has for them during their senior year. This is the last year that you'll be with all of these people that you've been with for some people 14 years before you all, spread out and go to college together. So I would just say take advantage of everything that Brookstone is offering you this year. Go to the sports games, go to basketball, football, baseball, go to all the traditions and the events they have for you, and just take it all in because in less than a year, you'll be gone, and you probably would have wished you had if you didn't.
I know. It's such a sweet year.
It is.
And it does go so quickly.
Right, exactly. Well, and you've watched it since lower school, middle school, even the
Right.
beginning of high school, and then it's finally your year.
I know.
Yeah.
When we were talking yesterday was the last day of school here officially for upper school and, really all divisions. But the fact that Stuart and Martha, they
Yes.
finished their freshman year. I'm like, oh my
know.
word, how did that happen so
Right.
quickly? So it does go fast.
It does.
Okay, now thinking now to those who just graduated, so the class of 2023 who are going to be rising freshmen.
Okay.
What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think I would tell them that even though if it seems hard, whether you're introverted or extroverted, you kind of just have to put yourself out there a little bit, at least for the first month or so. And depending on where you're going, you could be going with 10 of your best friends from Brookstone, or you could be going all by yourself, going and not knowing anyone. But I would just encourage them to really put themselves out there, whether it's getting involved in a sports team or a club or Greek life. Just try to make as many friends as you can. Keep an open mind. Introduce yourself to the kid you sit next to in class. And it seems really overwhelming at first, but you will settle in a lot faster than you think you will.
Right. Yeah. What about the workload? Was the workload just so much more than you were expecting, or was it completely what you were expecting?
Right. I would say at Tech, it was about what I was expecting. But in ways it was and it wasn't. There were some classes where I thought, I just have 2 tests and that's it. And then, that's less than I expected. But in some classes I have 2 homeworks a week and that's more than I was expecting.
Right.
But I think coming from a school like Brookstone where you have different sets of classes that have different outlines for their class, it kind of prepares you for having different workloads.
That's true.
But I would say just, look at your syllabus on the first day. Just kind of get your mind around what your semester is going to look like. And then at least whether it's more or less than you're expecting, you've at least got it in your head what is expected of you for the semester.
True. Good wisdom right there. Okay, so now just some fun questions that I love asking our guests. What is your most favorite or the most impactful book you've read?
Right. Okay. I think the most impactful book I've read is Love Does by Bob Goff.
Oh, I love that book
yes,
so much.
It's a good one. I haven't met many people that have read it and didn't love it. It's just a good book that talks about, a call to action and ministering your faith. But it's especially special to me because I used to quote from this book as my senior quote. So it just always has a special place in my heart.
Yes, that's a great one. And I've heard him speak, and he is just as enthusiastic in real life. He's amazing. So that's awesome. Okay, Love Does. All right, well, we've been talking about advice and you giving advice. What is some of the best advice you have ever been given? Yeah,
so my mom always says something like this, if I've had a bad day or if I'm in a, bad situation or having to make a hard decision, she always tells me that you can't change your circumstances, you can't change your situation, but you can change your outlook on it and you can change your mindset. And sometimes you're just in a hard place and it's not really in your control to change it, but you can try having a positive attitude and, trying to think about the good sides of it, or at least thinking through it logistically. And sometimes that helps the hard situation.
Totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. You can only handle how you respond to things.
Yes, exactly.
And not what those things might be.
Yes, you can't always control how people act or how they talk to you, what they do, but you can control how you respond.
Yes, so. That is very good advice right there. Okay, so now more advice because I'm just seeking this wisdom, Ruthie Way, that you've got. All right, so if you could go back and tell your high school self or your middle school self, if you could tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
Okay. This is, I guess, could be for both my middle school and high school self, but honestly, I'd probably tell her to relax a little bit. I spent a lot of middle school worrying about the classes I would take in high school, and a lot of high school worrying about, college acceptances, essays, test scores, and not that I regret any of the work I put in, but I probably would tell her just, it'll all work out. You can take a deep breath and enjoy the process a little bit more. Try and really soak in everything that you have here at Brookstone because before you know it, you'll be graduated and you'll be gone. Yeah.
I know. Well, that is very sound wisdom. And so so I thank you for being with us
thank you for
this
having
morning.
Me.
And I am so excited that we get to work together this summer.
Yes, I am too.
And, you do graduate, but here at Brookstone, you're always a Brookstone Cougar. So I'm so glad you're an example who's still someone who's still plugged in.
Right.
And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life and
me too.
For you to spend time with us this morning.
Well, thank you.
Yay. All right. So you might have to come back and do this again.
Yes. I'd love to.
All right. Thank you, Ruthie.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.